when you walk in that the property has a feel of a property that has been cleaned.
The first thing I say to a tenant is, if you want any help with the cleaning of any of the appliances, it's not expensive, it can save you a lot of time to do it. So it's an area where it's the main contentious area.
The level of communication you can give between the tenant and the landlord or the agent is fundamental to trying to make that process as smooth as possible. Welcome to the All Things Property podcast with me, Simon Bacon of Preferential Properties. Every week, Ian Sadler and I will delve into all things property. We'll guide you through with friendly, no-nonsense advice. Hello again, Ian.
Hi, Simon.
So today, another episode of the All Things Property podcast. And today we're going to be looking at what an ideal move-out looks like. So move-outs can often be a very contentious issue. And what I thought we'd do today is perhaps try and frame it in a way to offer some guidance and advice to landlords about how to conduct a good move out, for tenants, what they can expect from the move out process, and anybody else who's involved in tenants moving in and out, hopefully gives some advice and guidance on what makes a good move out so that it's not stressful or confrontational. So let's start. So I would say the first thing is good notice and communication with the tenants. What do you tend to do in terms of that?
Making sure the notice is correct. Send them a list of expectations, cleaning that they would need to do to present the property back to its normal condition. And worth mentioning, access for viewings for potential tenants in the future. Yeah,
absolutely. I think making sure the tenant is aware of the timescale, making sure they have a very clear date for their moving out, so they know how the keys are to be returned, so there isn't that confusion of, well, no one's been in touch with me to say, well, I don't know how to do any of this, because I think, again, we've talked about it in previous podcasts, the level of communication you can give between the tenant and the landlord or the agent is fundamental to trying to make that process as smooth as possible. In terms then of expectations, what do you think the tenant ought to be doing as part of their move out process? What kind of cleaning and furniture and all that sort of stuff? How do you like the property to be presented back to you?
In the same condition as it was presented to the tenants at the start of tenancy, accepting normal wear and tear.
And how would they know what that is?
They'd have a copy of the inventory, which they were given at the start of tenancy. And if they have any doubts, go read through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, do you produce a checklist for your tenants?
Of tasks I expect to do.
Yeah.
A4 PDF of what's expected regarding appliance cleaning, etc.
What are your expectations around that?
That they don't leave a dirty oven. Skirting boards are dusted.
Cleaning for me is one of those really contentious issues.
Always. Because,
you can go in and say to someone, oh, you haven't cleaned, and they say, well, actually, I've spent hours cleaning. But what does an end of tenancy clean look like for you? What kind of things should a tenant maybe focus on?
I think appliances, the biggest bugbear is the appliances and the garden, possibly.
What about bathrooms and
general hygienic areas like that? Bathrooms, shower rooms, kitchens, areas of where hygiene is important.
What kind of issues do you sometimes face, or do you see?
TLC of shower cubicles is one. It's so easy to spend 5 minutes cleaning a shower cubicle every time you have a shower. There are solutions you can use to do that with. If you let it slide, then the grouting, the sealant will discolour and where do you stop with that? Is that all down to the tenant? Is the landlord expected to do that as part of the course, or
Lime scale.
yeah, all these things?
Yeah. And it's about, it's too late. I always feel it's too late when you move out to try and put right, months and in some cases years of build up.
Mm-hmm.
So, good ones are things like shower cubicles, the glass, it does need to be well cleaned, using solutions, the sealant around shower screens and where door runners go on showers is often a real contentious issue, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you need to draw the line somewhere with sealant around the shower tray, between the shower tray and the tiles. You can clean that as much as you like, but you will not prevent a build-up of black mould. Not lots of it, but enough of it to want some care of attention. And I would say that's you
Bleach?
can.
Do you not find
If it gets into the sealant, then you can't get out no matter what you're trying to. And I think that's a cost that the landlord should take a hit on.
So in terms of kitchens and ovens, what do you expect from that?
I always take a photograph of the oven, and it's on the inventory. So there's no doubt about what the condition was when it was first used. And it's the first thing I say to a tenant is, if you want any help with the cleaning of any of the appliances, it's not expensive. It can save you a lot of time to do it. It's an area where it's the mainly contentious area.
Yeah, I often find that, ovens, not just the glass door, but the racks inside it, the filters to extractor hoods often don't get looked at, so they can be quite dirty. Light bulbs. What about light bulbs?
Tenant responsibility, I'm afraid. But having said that, I always carry spares in my car just in case.
But from a tenant's perspective, when we're talking about how can a tenant prepare for a move out, an ideal move out surely is that they've gone round each room, and if bulbs are out, they've replaced the bulbs. They've filled in any little holes in walls, etc. They've had, it's about, if you're encouraging a tenant to treat the house or treat the property as their home, so you often get the issue of putting up pictures, or maybe landlords allow them to put a television up on the wall. It's taking the brackets off, filling it, but often it's worthwhile having a conversation with the landlord or the letting agent to say, do you want me to remove the bracket? I'll take the television off, obviously, but the bracket, do you want me to leave it? Good communication can solve a lot of issues. Rubbish? What about rubbish? What's your expectation there?
My expectation is that that's also going to be a potential problem. Putting the wrong rubbish in the wrong bin, which the knock-on effect of that is that the council refuse workers won't take the bins, and they're left full for the next tenancy, and that incurs a cost to empty them. If you were a tenant, you wouldn't want to move into a property with all your bins full, would you?
No, absolutely. Is it reasonable for a tenant to leave their rubbish bins full, or should a tenant have taken all their rubbish to the tip?
No, I don't think it depends on the days that the refuse is collected, doesn't it? And if they're collected the day after the tenants move out, brilliant. If it's not, if it's 7 days after they've moved out, then I don't think you can charge a tenant for
I think as long as when you get to do the move out, the tenant has made best endeavours, and black bags are put in the rubbish bins, and the recycling bins have got the right recycling, and the garden waste has got the garden waste in it. I think that's fair and reasonable. You wouldn't expect there to be a build up of that kind of stuff. for someone else to be responsible for getting rid of the rubbish.
But you can preempt a problem, can't you? Or you can solve it before it happens by telling them, having it out on your checklist of things to do.
Furniture, if it's furnished property, or if there are items, a good one, curtains. A tenant will often put, in my experience, tenants sometimes put their own curtains up and then leave the old
in the airing cupboard,
in the airing cupboard, not having taken any care of them, and don't put them, so take their own down, but then don't put the old ones back up, haven't had them washed, haven't looked after them. Again, fair and reasonable or not?
There are so many grey areas, aren't there, really?
But in terms of, a good checkout, a good move out, what does it look like? Surely a good move out is that if the tenant has used their own curtains and is taking them with them, that they take them down and they put the old curtains back up, so that the property looks as it did when they move in, less wear and tear.
Yeah. In an ideal world, yes.
Yes, and that's what we're talking about, is trying to explain, trying to show what a good move out looks like, rather than, somebody moving out and just not bothering to do those bits and pieces, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, good communication with the tenants leading up to the move out, and then in terms of what the actual move out itself, the day of the move out, what does that look like for you?
Arrange a time to meet tenants at the property, take photographs of gas, electricity meter, water meters, take the details from the tenant, forwarding addresses, bank details, that sort of thing, and then a walk around through the property. Maybe sometimes I'd ask if there are any areas which they feel might be maybe a problem. And just walk through the property.
You do that walk through with the tenant, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, we don't, and not all landlords want to do it with the tenant. So from our perspective, what we will do is when we send a checklist out to the tenants, we will give them a form to fill out with their forwarding address, with their current utility providers, so that we have all that information. And then they return the keys to us, and then we will go and do the move out the next day, because a move out can take 2 to 3 hours to do if you're doing it thoroughly. Take lots of photographs, because what you're doing is you're comparing. I don't know about you, but we compare the condition of the property when the tenant moved in against an ingoing inventory with what we see on the day, and we will make notes so that we will be highlighting anything that is different to the condition of the property when they actually moved in. And if you've got the date stamped photos, that helps, because that shows that the photos were taken on a specific day. And if you take photos of all the things that you find, then you've got a clear comparison as to what it was like when they moved in and what it was like when they moved out. The judgment then comes in terms of, and we'll talk about this in one of our next podcasts, will be how you arrive at whether there are deductions to be made or not. But in terms of the move-out process, when you're doing the final inspection, is very much a comparison of what it was like against the ingoing inventory, against what it's like when the tenants have actually vacated, photographic evidence to try and identify any wear and tear. Then the process becomes that you agree on any deductions or anything that is not fair wear and tear, and you're transparent with that. So that then becomes the move out process, and then once you've done that, obviously, isn't it returning the deposit quickly with a breakdown of any deductions, lots of information for the tenant?
Well, yeah, you wouldn't return the deposit. Obviously, you'd send a summary of your inspections to the tenant and any contentious areas, and try and get it agreed without dispute.
And what do you find landlords' expectations are of move-outs?
Higher than they possibly should be. I think
In what way?
I don't think they take into account average wear and tear.
Is that not one of the issues, that in terms of move-outs, tenants' expectations and landlords' expectations often don't quite marry up, and is trying to
Educate.
Yeah.
Well, the rental market in the UK still, in my opinion, it's 30, 35 years old maybe, so it's pretty embryonic. And until you've got enough of a track record of what's expected, like the German system, the Italians, the French, where they have a completely different system and approach to it. They have to, in Germany I know they have to, when you leave a property, you have to paint it throughout. There are such hard and fast rules, and they're not open to misinterpretation. And I think there's a complete lack of education and expectation for both landlords and tenants on what a good move out should look like. And I guess that's down to us to educate.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I guess for me, it's very much about trying to be reasonable. I expect the tenants to make best endeavours to present back property clean, having made good any changes that they've made, such as curtains or things like that, making sure the gardens are presented back nicely, that rubbish is removed, and when you walk in, that the property has a feel of a property that has been cleaned. And from the landlord's perspective, it's trying to make sure that they understand that the tenant may have been living in that property for a number of years, and there has to be an element of reasonableness, reasonable wear and tear, and an understanding that the property is not going to be in exactly the same condition as when they moved in.
Okay, so here's a scenario. One of the most used areas in a property is the entrance hall, reception hall, isn't there? And every property you live in, you're going to brush against the wall, and over a period of time, 2 years maybe, you're going to get a discoloration of the paintwork because of that. And that's, for me, is normal wear and tear. I wouldn't expect a tenant to pay for that. I would expect the landlord to consider doing it, to present the property for the next tenancy in the best possible manner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, which I think we'll come on to this in future podcasts. It's about, the life expectancy of decor in a high traffic area must be much less than in a low traffic area, for example. So, it comes down to reasonableness, clear communication and clear understanding. And ultimately, a smooth move out is a win for everyone. Quicker turnaround for the landlords, full deposits back for tenants, and no drama for either side. Isn't that what we're looking for?
Ideally.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ian.
You're welcome.
And if you would like to talk to us about your property needs, or want a valuation, or want to talk about renting your property out, please give us a call. Thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the All Things Property Podcast. If you found this episode useful, don't forget to subscribe, like and share. These things really help us reach the people who need to hear this advice. See you next week.